Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back with Najman Sari. We're going through love reading, and that's my hope and desire that this Ramadan I can instill in somebody the love of reading and wanting to go back. And whatever I put to the fore is just as an indication or as a love to find your own way. Well, this is what she likes. I don't like any of the books you suggested or whatever. I think we've got more up-to-date books, better things to offer. So by all means, but have a critical eye in recognizing that this enhances my faith. This enhances this author, this book, this publication is good for our deen. And it's not subverting it. It's not doing us a disservice. Like we have many Muslim sounding names, and they've done us more disservice to our faith of being, because it shows like, oh, we're one of the insiders, but we're spilling out the beans, we're putting out the dirty laundry, and many things like that. So just be watchful. And the hope, I mean, I'm sharing with you the books I like. I'm sharing you what I feel is significant from my perspective. But I do feel a lot of that is valid for more than just single me, and just develop that. Whether it's blogs you're reading, whether it's YouTubers, have the critical eye. And I think for me, it's nicer that you read a blog than you look on a YouTube. That's all just, it's only your well, maybe your eyes are also involved, but it's just the listening of it. But it was when it was listening without seeing the person, it penetrated more. Now we're too busy. We've got too many distractions of, look how the person's dressed, what he's doing, look at his twitch, look at his this, so sometimes in watching whatever is being presented, it's in the visual that we get distracted and we're not hearing. So whereas when the visual was reading a blog, reading a piece of paper, you are constant, and those words are penetrating into you. So when you're looking at the word and reading it, that's what Iqra was, is that it is penetrating you at a visual level and at a, well, hearing, if you're reading aloud, that too. But when you are distracted by too much outside, and the first thing we look at now is reviews and views, how many clicks, how many people have viewed it. Wow, so many K, whatever that K is. And so it must be popular, it must be useful. Those should not be our criteria. In fact, so that's why I try and find blogs. Yes, there is something called Google Scholar, where you get scholarly articles or something supposedly more serious, but you never know. In academia, you can have a lot of rubbish as well. And it's just that because it's couched in the right language, it's said in the right way, so that's why it appeals. But nonetheless, today I want to look at another beautiful book, which in my formative years I found very useful for many levels. You know, you need to have a book that captures you for where you are at. It captures you at your sort of mental level. It captures you at your level of the language, is what you can receive and understand and accept, and be of interest to you of wherever you are. So this is a book, again, the Islamic Foundation. I mentioned to you that as a publishing company, and actually after having read 2 or 3 books published by them, any book that used to come from the Islamic Foundation, I did find they were very, very solid, of authentic, serious scholarship, for the mission being to broadcast our faith for our own people that we feel so vulnerable in foreign lands and so on, and also for the wider community. So it had that. And this book that the Quran, it says the Quran, Basic Teachings, and it's by TBIrving. Khurshid Ahmed and Muhammad Manasir Ahsan. Basically, it's by TBIrving. The other two authors are there to sort of look at it and guide it through. But it's an anthology of selected passages from the Quran and translated in contemporary English with an introduction to the message. So, TBIrving is Canadian. He was born 1914. He passed away in 2002, and he had a Muslim name, but we mostly knew him by TBIrving. If you Google that, that will come up more than Al-Hajj Talim Ali Abu Nasser. So he was a Canadian American, and he was an author, professor, activist, and scholar, and he produced the first American English translation. So it was to, for the time and era in which things are done, and this was published in 1979. So that's a time when Muslims, especially university as students, Muslim students in the States, 1978, 79, that was just around the time of the Iranian Revolution. So there was already there an awareness, what is Islam, what is, and so on. This came out, I think, just before that, or maybe it was then. But anyway, nonetheless, it is an anthology just of passages that he finds useful or good. For me, what captured it at my formative years was the language is so simple, and it's not that archaic English that you find. Abdullah Yusuf Ali did a brilliant job for his time, for his era, of translating and giving the notes, but maybe it was heavy on those of us who are sort of used to speaking slang English or something. Not that this isn't slang, but it was in very good, simple English. So instead of even sajda, prostration, we'd never heard that much in English, but he would say bow and so on, that you could maybe relate to better. So that was the one thing. Then he talks about, so there's a chapter on the idea of God. So it's again, and it is for the non-Muslim and the Muslim, and of the unseen, on the story of creation, the world and the hereafter, the prophethood, the major prophets, and then it goes on a further part on beliefs as well. So a creed. So how do you profess your creed? What it means to be a true believer, and to be grateful or ungrateful, and prayer. So he's done a good job on it, on moral values, on social norms, and everything that, and the three deadly sins, whether it's kufr, shirk, or tughyan is the other one that they bring in, which is kibr. So we also have the hadith, which even if we have an iota of kibr, we won't make it to heaven. That's really frightening, because there's always an element when you think you are it. At least I know it resonates for me and for a lot of us. But that's what we really need to be rid of. So he does bring something new at that time. The other beautiful thing I got to know him was he was proficient in Spanish. And he brought for the Muslims a lot of historical data from Muslim Spain, of Alhambra, Cordoba, all what I learned about the caliphate of that time in Spain comes through him. So he did a lot maybe for himself, but also, and they say that he was one of those who actually brings in Latino, in the Latin diaspora, what do we call it, the Hispanic or something, diaspora of South Americans in the States, a lot of that was able to bring that. So he did a great service. And now, if I'm not mistaken, when I was last there, the amount of Spanish Muslims that are there. So he is considered bringing deen into the Spanish population of the States. So that's the beauty of he. And again, he's one of those people who well, maybe it was only because the internet wasn't there, and that's why not everybody would know on it. But whoever read of him, whoever was seriously studying as students or scholars within Islam, TBIrving in the North American continent would surface as a person of great significance. And for me, coming back to Islamic Foundation, one of the beautiful things of them and their time in their era, that they were able to source good people. They were able to source good, authentic authors and give them some opportunity to have their writings be heard, and and uh, and so on. So anyway, also again, I haven't read that book of his, but The Falcon of Spain was a historical biography of Abdurrahman al-Dakhil, which he was a Spanish person. So those, there's always this richness that they bring. So thanks to Islamic Foundation, thanks to the people in charge, who was Khurshid Ahmad and M.M. Ahsan from those areas, that they brought so much good into collecting these people, and TBIrving being one of them, who I found was very, everybody brings their own richness in their writings, and impeccable authenticity, humility, nuanced new ways of approaching things. So that's what TBIrving did. And again, from this book, what I loved is from this particular version of the Quran, Basic Teachings, and this anthology of little pieces. It's really good also for young people, because when young ones, even now in Ramadan, that it's Quran and you're just reading, but you're reading usually and nothing really, it's just a rote reading just for the principle of getting some reward. But for penetrating it into your heart, if you get young people to even read it, like the beautiful thing, show kindness to both your parents and near relatives, orphans and needy. Now, written in a simple word and giving reference that it's in Surah Nisa, this ayah, it just it can resonate for the youth, and just look at it and have a sense that even in just reading this, if you're maybe not comfortable reading the Arabic, you can't do a juz a day, you haven't managed to finish, but even going through something like a book like this, it will give you some sense of, I have connected with the Quran. I have connected with Allah. I have tried to use my time in Ramadan to learn something about my faith. And invariably, you'll find, whether it's on modesty, whether it's on extravagance, don't squander your money and other things. Whatever you find, something. The beauty of this is of your responsibilities, what it says about, somewhere there's something that's going to resonate for you, something that's going to resonate for you, make it resonate for your children. I love to present these books to young ones, and I say, you go flick through it and find something that you will like. Invariably, we are too lazy. We don't want to be reading through. We don't want to be looking at things like that. And yet, somewhere, the penny will drop. Somewhere, some ayah, looking at on the unseen, looking at on the beautiful example of, it's in Surah Hajj, and I've loved this. It says, if a fly should snatch anything away from them, they would not even know how to recover it from them. So how weak is the seeker, and and anything that he seeks. So these parables that Allah gives, that and he my attraction to the book was the simplicity of the English, that it really resonates. And it's like, it's just, we think we're so cool. And here, if a fly takes something away from you, what are you going to do? How are you going to run after it? We have a trouble squatting the wretched fly, So and Allah is not shy of giving these examples. So for me, when I was reading Burnishing the Heart, I love those passages and I want to memorize them. Here, from this book, what I love to do is, I'm like, Ya Allah, look what Allah just has his, he knows us from our pulse. He can tell us from our jugular weight. He knows what makes us tick. He knows what my triggers are, whatever. And he's able to put in here, I love the saying somebody said that, in the Quran, at, it's you read it from A to Z, from Surah 1 to 114 in the order you do, but you are always allowed to extract from where you want. And invariably, different things t- can can benefit and can give you the light bulb moment for different people. Some people I know, it's like the carrot and the stick. Some people love being encouraged, and so some people, you criticize them, that floors them, and that makes them want to be better. So there is different ways on which it does, and the Quran refers to us both: the warning, the good news, the talking about your psychology, your inside, and everything else. So if you get a chance, please look at TBIrving and his book, The Quran. I find it was a real great reference book throughout my life. So please go and have a look. So with that, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.